extremely important. We will have people sharing experience from all over the world, including Africa. So I would like to invite Lívia Edegger. A round of applause. Lívia is the Vice-diretora. She is responsible for ISSUP communication, as she is responsible for developing the national chapters. It was this is a result of Lívia's work that we have 35 chapters. I would also like to invite Bárbara Correa from Mexico. A round of applause to Bárbara. She is ISSUP National Chapters Coordinator. And I would also like to invite Dr. Abel Basuto. He's a senior official of the program of drug prevention programs. Dr. Abel. Did you get the headsets for simultaneous interpretation? If you didn't, you can do so right now. And if you want, you can join the YouTube link. It would be important to get headsets for the panelists as well. If you want access on YouTube, there's an English link. Samuel, I would like to ask your help. So you can translate everything that I said to them while the audience is getting their headsets.
We're gonna get the headsets for you guys if you have questions. You can use this and you can start your presentation. Então pega ele lá. We're going to sponsor slides just see next because the guy who was presenting put in the pockets and go. You can use this one. This is a presentation.
Great. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I would like to first thank Paulo Matelli and his team. I work very closely with Paulo, with Samuel and Gisele on the development and maintenance of ISSUP Brazil. And I myself, I'm from Austria. I live in Germany, so it was quite a long journey for me to come here. It's my second time in Brazil. I was also at the 6th Free Mind Congress before the pandemic, so it's a pleasure for me to be here with you today. I and my colleague, Bárbara Correa, will be talking, we'll be presenting on the work of ISSUP in general first, and then we'll be talking about the work that we do in the prevention field. And Bárbara is going to focus her presentation on the work of the ISSUP national chapters. So ISSUP is the International Society of Substance Use Professionals. We are an international non-governmental organization. We have over 26,000 members from all over the world. And actually we have 30% of our membership base is from Latin America. So we have a very strong membership base in the region here. And you can see that our objective is to professionalize the drug demand reduction workforce. That means that we offer opportunities to people working in prevention, in treatment, and in recovery support to get trained, to get certified through our partner organizations, to network, to learn from each other, to exchange knowledge and share experiences. You can here see that, as I've mentioned, we have over 26,000 members from 190 countries and territories. And here you can see that we have a big membership base in Latin America. At the moment, we have around 1,000 members of ISIP in Brazil. That's also due to the efforts of our national chapter in Brazil. And if you would like to become a member, if you're not yet a member of ISEP, it's very easy. You just go to our website. It's www.isep.net. You just click on apply for membership. Membership is for free. And we have 4 different levels of membership, one for students, a regular membership level, and then one for professional members, and the drug demand reduction professional membership. What are the benefits of being a member of ISEP? So first of all, you get access to our professional development section. I will talk a little bit more about that. You get access to trainings, in-person trainings, and also online trainings. You get access to a range of online tools for networking. We have a section with, for networks, which are kind of like forums. You would receive our monthly newsletter that we send out, well, we send it out twice a month, with regular updates and event notifications. And you also have the opportunity to attend our workshops, our conferences, with benefits for ISEP members. And you can also access the ISEP member directory, create your own professional profile, and also talk to and virtually exchange information with other members in Brazil and around the world. A little bit about the history of ISEP. So ISEP is supported by the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, also known as INL. The idea of ISEP was created when a group of people came together from different organizations, and they thought this was the missing link, that there was an organization was needed to bring everyone together. So we're kind of the central focal point, and we work with many different partners. Many of them are here with us today. There is, like, I see ISEP as just like one piece of the puzzle. There's like 2 other organizations that we work very closely with, as well as our national chapters work with them. One of them is ICUDDR, the International Consortium of University for Drug Demand Reduction. So we offer membership at the individual level, and ICUDDR offers membership at the university level. So they provide institutional membership. And then we have GCCC, our partner for credentialing and certification. So when people take courses in different, I will talk about the courses later, they can then get certified and credentialed through the Global Center for Credentialing and Certification. So since this conference is about prevention, I wanted to tell you a little bit about ISEP and prevention, because we offer opportunities for people in prevention, treatment, and recovery support. But with prevention, we really reinforce prevention as being very essential in the field, because sometimes it does get forgotten because there's a lot of focus put on treatment. And so this is kind of also one of our objectives, to include prevention practitioners as key parts of the workforce, of the drug demand reduction workforce, to promote prevention resources on our website and also through our partners, to allow best practice and promising practice to be highlighted, again, on our website, at our annual conferences, and to build networks for the prevention workforce. So how do we work? So we deliver our work in 3 different channels. So first of all, it's the digital channel, our website, which I'll talk a little bit about, our event, our conferences, like similar to this conference, and our national chapters. Our website, for you, this is important, that our website is available in different languages, including Portuguese. So the Professional Development Hub, which might be very interesting for you. So this is where you can get information on the different curricula. So there's 3 types of curricula, one in prevention, one in treatment, and one in recovery support. So if you're interested in getting training, there's online and face-to-face training. You can go to our website and click on this. The Online Learning Hub is all about the online trainings, and then you can download the manuals for the universal curricula also through our website. Just a little bit about the Online Learning Hub. So that's a collaboration of the partner organization mentioned here. It is really turning the universal curricula into an online program so that people can access it all around the world. And at the moment, it's CCAT and Jimena Kalavsky, she was presenting yesterday. They and Colombo Plan in the region are actually working on developing online instructor-led courses and also self-led courses. So people that, if you take the training, your courses and the records of your training are on the ISSUP website. You have your own ISSUP dashboard with all the information, and it is there on the website. One of our main focus areas due to the pandemic has also been webinars. So you can see here the number. We have actually delivered over 125 webinars starting in February 2020 until now. We had like 2 major virtual conferences, one in 2020, one in 2021, and with a total number of attendance of around 25,000. And our national chapters, including ISSUP Brazil, have been very active in also running webinars. Here's just a list. I'm not going to go through this. A list of prevention webinars. In case you're interested, you can rewatch them. They're on our website and also on our YouTube channel. You can see here a range of different areas that we cover in our webinars. And here's also just the flyers of the webinars. You can see of different, like, media-based. We had the training with Phil Crano here as well. So we also have, different webinars on our website where he's presenting online. We have an event calendar if you're interested in online and in-person events. We have a calendar where you can go and you can search, for example, prevention. You choose a topic and then it lists a number of trainings or online events available in your region. The knowledge share. It's like a library of resources. So it's basically this massive library of things, and we have a focus also on prevention. So you can actually click and choose prevention, and then you get all of the resources, all of the publications, the latest research, training opportunities and webinars, and reading lists on prevention on our knowledge share. Again, just if you're a member of ISSUP, you can also then log on and you can create and share your own research and your own experiences on the knowledge share, as well as in the networks. So the networks, as I said, are forums, and we have over 100 networks, and I've just here have a list for you in case you're interested in our prevention networks. So this is the list. So you click on networks, and then within prevention, we have subgroups that if you're interested, it kind of works a little bit like Facebook, like where you have an interest group and you just talk to other professionals that are interested in sharing information in these different networks. And you can see here the resources that if you're interested, if you're looking for toolkits, for posters, or for any of these resources, you can also find them on the networks. Yeah. Our event, I think I mentioned that on Wednesday. We've just come back from our first conference, first in-person conference in 3 years, and it was in Abu Dhabi. So here's the list. We were actually in Campinas, maybe some of you were there, in 2016, which was our second ISSUP conference. And then, as I said, we had 2 virtual conferences in 2020 and 2021, and then the one in Abu Dhabi that we had this year, which was a hybrid conference. So it was an online plus an in-person conference. I'll just give you a little bit of information about the conference, because you can actually go and still watch any of the conference sessions online. So this will be available through the ISSUP website. And the conference itself was, we organized it together with our partner organization. So it was NRC, the National Rehabilitation Center in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, and also with our partner ICUDDR and INL that I mentioned earlier. But there were also a lot of other partners working with us. So here you can kind of see all of them. They provided training. So it was a conference with, I will talk here a little bit more, it was 3 days of conferences, 3 different tracks. There were side meetings, there were trainings going on for the full week, so 5 days of trainings. ICAP exams, so as I mentioned, the Global Center for Credentialing and Certification, they were there, and people after taking the trainings, they could actually get certified and take the exam at the end of the week. There was a big youth forum as well. There was a national chapter meeting, so together with ISSUP Brazil, we had 26 national chapters there meeting 2 days before the conference and planning together. We had a meeting, I know Abel Basuto will be presenting. We had a meeting, the African Union Commission meeting there as well, so they're one of our partners that we're working very closely together. And as I said, there was the online event, which went on for 7 days, 24 hours a day. And then there were a lot of networking opportunities, 6 keynote sessions, 27 sub-plenaries, and we had a lot of interest, so we received 200 abstracts It was kind of a 2 years in the planning conference due to the pandemic, and you can see the numbers here. We had over 2,000 in-person and online combining from 125 countries and territories. And here you can see the top 10 countries represented from different regions in the world. 123 speakers in person and 175 online. And this is, I think, the most important for you. If you are interested and if you are an ISSUP member, you can actually rewatch these. You know, this is there to, and also on our YouTube channel, we have these different kind of like areas. There's country reports if you're interested in, for example, watching what Brazil or any other country in the region submitted. You can look at that. They are really looking at the current state of drug use and the response by each country's government and civil society. The national chapters are showcasing their work as well in these online sessions. We had 38 researchers presenting as well and sharing their practices and policies. We have our partner organizations profiles there as well, and we have members and the workshop series provided by our local partner NRC. The national chapters. So I think you're all familiar with ISSUP Brazil. ISSUP national chapters, their mission is really to undertake our work, but at the local level. So again, they provide trainings, they organize conferences like this one, and they also bring together the drug demand reduction workforce in their country. As I've said, we have 28 established national chapters at the moment. There's a lot of interest, so we're working on 6 national chapters that are in progress at the moment. We have a very long waiting list and recent launches. So the chapter starts with a launch event, which is either an in-person or an online event or hybrid. The recent launches were in Spain, the Gambia, and Botswana, and we have upcoming launches, 3 in Africa with Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Tanzania, and 1 in the region in Colombia. And here you can see the list of countries. I'm not going to go into this because I know that Bárbara will be talking more about the national chapters in Latin America. The national chapters training, I just wanted to talk a little bit about. I told you about the UPC, the Universal Prevention Curriculum, and the UTC, the treatment, and the URC, the recovery support. So with these curricula, our national chapter, actually, they provide training. So some of them are training providers. You can see the list of trainings provided by our national chapters. And I wanted to talk a little bit about INEP Plus, which is a course, an introduction to evidence-based prevention. So this is really for people that are new to prevention, so that want to learn about prevention and they're just starting out. We're doing this together with our national chapter in ISSUP Italy. Rachele Tonini from Italy, she's our facilitator, and my colleague, the former executive director of ISSUP Global, Jeff Lee, he's also facilitator of this training. So it's based on a program offered by Charles University in Prague. They're also the ISSUP national chapter in the Czech Republic, and because they're a university, they created an online course, Introduction to Evidence-Based Prevention, called INEP. It's actually on the Moodle platform. Some of you might be familiar with that. There's 10 e-learning lectures, 40+ hours of training. All materials are in English. They're actually now working on a Portuguese version as well. And people actually get a certificate of completion, which you do get ECT credits, which are the kind of credits that we have in Europe and that are shared among the universities. So it is actually a university course that people can take online. So it's delivering globally recognized information. It's actually based on UPC, so it's just a shorter version. Backed by science in the field of prevention, and as I said, in a shorter version. And our role in this is really that's why we're calling it INEP Plus, and not just INEP, is to work together with the ISSUP Czech Republic and Charles University to facilitate and to train, for example, our national chapters in this course. So I know we're working with ISSUP Brazil. They might be offering this course also very soon in Brazil. So we're basically running facilitator courses where we equip the facilitators, the trainers, so that they can do the course. So it's not just an online course, but it also has an in-person or it has a facilitation aspect to it added. So it basically offers people the chance, like from many different countries, to come together, attend the training together, exchange knowledge, share their experiences, and yeah, it's a very rich international learning environment. And here's just a few photos. You can see the courses if you're interested. It basically starts out with an introduction and then, focuses on evidence-based epidemiology, family-based, school-based, workplace, community-based, and environmental prevention. So that's kind of the general overview of ISSUP's work and the work that we do in the field of prevention. And now my colleague, Bárbara Correa, who is actually, as I've said, I oversee the development of all national chapters, but I have coordinators. I work together with them, my team, and Bárbara is the one overlooking the Spanish and Portuguese-speaking national chapters in the region, including Spain.
Thank you, Lívia. I'm going to speak in Spanish. Entonces, ¿cómo?
So as Lívia mentioned, I am Bárbara Correa. I am the coordinator of the national chapters in Latin America and Spain. So on behalf, so the name of the department changed to Spanish and Portuguese-speaking national countries. Now, we currently have 7 national chapters in the area. As Lívia mentioned, we are working to establish the 8th, which is Colombia. We'll have Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Mexico, Peru, and Colombia. I am going to talk a little bit about the work performed by the national chapters which are related to prevention. We work with prevention, treatment, and support for recovery. And now we are going to focus more on prevention. I am going to start with ISSUP Argentina. ISSUP Argentina has focused on epidemiologic studies of different countries. They have been working in partnership with the municipal government of the country to develop prevention programs. They also work with assessment of prevention programs, and they also performed a research study to evaluate the challenges involved in prevention and treatment in other countries like Peru, Chile, and Mexico. And they organized more than 20 webinars since 2020. We have ISSUP Brazil, and the most important thing now is the pilot project about abuse of alcohol and other drugs here in the city of Campinas, which was mentioned by the mayor here in the first day of the Congress. And somebody from ISSUP Brazil will explain this project with further detail. The objective of the program was to create indicators to measure the implementation of evidence-based prevention programs, and it also focused on training of professionals and volunteers in schools and communities in the city of Campinas. ISSUP Brazil also collaborates a lot with ISSUP's website. They publish a lot of articles related to prevention. Here you have 2 examples, one focused on parents and children and strategies for teenagers.
Here we have some information about ISSUP Chile. They also do some interesting prevention work there based on prevention policies in higher education. They have strong partnerships with Chilean universities. Many universities there are part of the Chilean Council, and they do some evidence-based work, and research in drug prevention. This is ISSUP Ecuador. They have launched this prevention track with professionals of the local chapter. They also participate in conventions, conferences about prevention in workplaces together with ISSUP Argentina. They also work together with the government of Ecuador and some 56 universities to join forces to work on a national strategy of prevention in higher education in Ecuador. They also participated in the pilot training core course Foundations for the Prevention of the Universal Curriculum of Prevention by CICAD. This is ISSUP Mexico. They have a number of training programs in prevention. They have the core course of Universal Prevention Curriculum. They also have prevention of addiction programs for students, teachers, families, or parents. They have master's degrees over 10 courses that are available as e-learning on our website. They're free of charge and they offer up to 9 diplomas. Most of it is in Spanish, but there's some content in English as well. ISSUP Peru is a strong implementer of UPC, which is the Universal Prevention Curriculum. They train volunteers and teachers in they have already trained people in over 124 schools in Peru. They also assess and evaluate many initiatives, many prevention initiatives in Peru. Finally, there's ISSUP Spain. They have recently opened this chapter and they joined the Latin American ISSUP. They're a Spanish-speaking country, of course. They're together with their former colonies now, and there they work with universities and they work with prevention, with environmental prevention, which means three things. Three types of prevention. The management is their leaders are prominent people in Spanish society in the area of prevention. They think Spain is lagging behind in terms of prevention. They believe Spain is too focused on treatment and recovery, and now they're trying to work harder on prevention in Spain. So all the work that is being done in Latin America and Spain, we say that it's a luxury to have the Africans with us, to have this African support. CICAD is also supporting us, but we love working with our partners. This year, they have supported us with many projects. Last year, we had some preventive projects, and this is an overview of the projects that were carried out with Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Mexico, and Peru. In Argentina, Roberto Canay, you can see he spoke to us yesterday. His session is recorded. You can watch it later. He did a very interesting project with railroad workers in Argentina to prevent binge drinking and alcohol abuse during working hours. That was a very interesting project that was done in Argentina with railroad workers, males and females over 18. In Brazil, there were prevention workshops for legal and illegal substances. This happened in countless Brazilian schools. Prevention, and of course it was totally evidence-based with some outstanding results. They have presented this project here already. It was directed at public schools. It was done in public schools. It engaged students, school professionals, volunteers. In Ecuador, they have a demand reduction project. They work to reduce the demand and reduce the consumption of drugs in Riobamba, Ecuador. This type of prevention was also universal. And in addition to Argentina, Ecuador was the only country that had in-person projects last year. They engaged the main stakeholders from the government, from communities, from the universities, also for both genders over 18. That was in Ecuador. In Mexico, they have a project called Socioemocionante. It's also an evidence-based project which achieved some very good results. It has always been in person, but then because of the pandemic, they had to change it and have it online. They conducted it remotely. They achieved a good coverage and some good results, even in the online format. They adapted the Mexican project to have it online, to develop emotional skills. It's a very interesting project, and it's the only preventive project here directed at minors, meaning under 18 years of age, and in addition to the Brazilian project that was done in schools. In Peru, they are strong implementers of the universal prevention curriculum. They also focused on schools. The Peruvian project was remote, targeted at people over 18. It worked with families and schools as well. So again, I would like to thank for CICAD's support, for the support of our national chapters. I would like to thank you all, because we firmly believe that when we join domestic and international forces, we can create really impactful projects. We have to join our efforts. She talked about some upcoming events, but all our webinars, events, material, resources are available on ISSUP's website. Make sure you check it out, download whatever is interesting for you. You can go to each chapter and see what's relevant for you. You can click on Brazil, for example, and you'll see all the features and all the resources that are made available by ISSUP Brazil. You can download things, you can read things, watch videos, and you can also link this to your websites. There is you will just have to create like a login, a username, and a password to see the upcoming events. ISSUP Mexico is also organizing a session with other chapters. Paulo Martelli is going to represent ISSUP Brazil. You're all welcome to signing up. Make sure it's going to be on June 29. It's going to be about public policies in connection with the World's Drug Prevention Day, challenges, successful initiatives, challenges. It's going to be very interesting. And ISSUP Argentina, next month, Argentina's ISSUP will launch a master's degree in partnership with a local university. The university is going to be the host organization. It's going to be a master's on substance abuse. Then in September, ISSUP Peru is going to have the National Prevention Day for Peru. Like I said, they are strong adopters of the UPC, the Universal Prevention Curriculum. So they want to have this national day. They want to promote it as an international day. They've been working on that. They've been lobbying that. And they chose ISSUP to help them with that, because ISSUP is an international society of professionals. And then finally, in October, there will be an event in Chile on October 10th, World Mental Health Day, with the participation of other local chapters to talk about the relationship between mental health and the consumption and abuse of psychoactive substances. So with that, I would like to thank you very, very much. Thank you, CICAD. Thank you all for your support. Thanks for the support you give to our national chapters. And thank you all for coming to this amazing event organized by or supported by ISSUP Brazil. Thank you, Samuel, Paula, thanks FreeMind. Thank you all for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. That my email was there, but you can go to our website to learn more. and I'm very happy to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, to let us be part of this great family that is ISSUP. We are together and gonna keep doing all those fantastic things. Eu vou passar agora a palavra para o Abel Bazuto. O Abel Bazuto.
I'll hand it over to Mr. Abel Basuto now. He's going to talk about prevention to take advantage of Africa's demographic dividends.
Thank you very much. A rather unknown Methodist bishop called Alfred Lacock once said, "No one can whistle a symphony. It takes an orchestra." And that's why we are here. We are privileged to be here, to come and learn what you are doing here, but also to share our own experiences. And through this forum, we have also been able to link up and collaborate with our international partners, including ISSUP. So we are happy to be here. So I'm just going to give you a rundown of our programs in Africa, focusing on our challenges, but also what we have been trying to do. So, by way of introduction, the African Union, I moved too fast. The African Union is an organization comprising all 55 countries on the African continent. It was formed in 2002 as a transmutation or a transformation of the then Organization of African Unity, whose focus then was to fight for political liberation of African countries. But now the objective has shifted to social and economic transformation. And those are countries of the African continent there. The Commission is the executive secretariat and administrative organ of the African Union. It is based in Addis Ababa, and our primary role is basically normative and policy support. We do develop continental policies and frameworks. These are frameworks that guide drug policy development on the African continent. We also coordinate policy implementation, and in so doing, monitor and evaluate implementation of those policies, which we do on behalf of the policy organs of the African Union, and these are the ministers in charge of respective portfolios. We also work in the area of technical assistance and capacity building, focusing primarily on our tools, and a number of tools and frameworks have been developed. The current overarching framework is the African Union Plan of Action on Drug Control and Crime Prevention, which is anchored on 9 pillars. One of our focus areas as well is research, analysis, and evidence. Why? In order to be informed in terms of policy legislative responses. So, in terms of our challenges, we do have quite a number of challenges, some of which we share with Brazil. One of the biggest challenges that we have is a high youth population on the continent. The African continent itself, there are 1.3 billion persons in Africa. Out of that 1.3 billion population, 475 are youths between 15 and 35 years. And at least 60% of the population in Africa is below 25, which makes the continent the youngest of them all. While there are advantages in terms of having a high youthful population, there are also some disadvantages, and we all know that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So if those youths are not occupied, then something else comes up. According to projections, the population is estimated to double by 2050. If you can look there, all the regions, they are going up, which means we have to do something for the young people. Otherwise, we have a problem, a huge problem on our hands. All the regions there, population is projected to grow, particularly in West Africa, Eastern Africa, but also Central Africa. Africa is a major transit area for trafficked drugs. And as more drugs are trafficked and transit through the continent, a significant quantity remains on the local market, and these are the drugs that then people use. It's also a growing destination for quite a number of drugs. It has become a market itself, not only a transit zone. In a sense, we can say it has graduated from being a transit zone to a market, a growing market for some of the drugs. And some of the drugs are produced on the continent, so that gives us big challenges that need to be addressed. So what we are witnessing on the continent is that we are having more people using drugs and then more people with substance use disorders. And with the youth bulge, with high unemployment in Africa, many of them are experimenting with the drugs, many of them are polydrug users, and we have a huge problem on our hands on the continent. What are some of the drugs that are being used there? We have heroin, which comes through the East African coast, which is a significant entry point, but also a major destination and market. For example, we have Afghan heroin, which comes from Pakistan and Iran, and it comes via the Indian Ocean, and from there it moves to all directions on the continent of Africa. So Africa at the moment is experiencing the sharpest rise in heroin use worldwide, and is counted among top 8 heroin-consuming regions in the world. We also have a big problem with cocaine, particularly in West, Central, and North Africa, which are key nodes if we go by seizures. And this data was reported in the World Drug Report and also captured by the Pan-African Epidemiology Network on Drug Use. So there is a problem with heroin, there is a problem with cocaine, there is a problem also with opioids. There is a scourge of non-medical use of pharmaceutical opioids that we are experiencing on the continent, and there are challenges with the tramadol, particularly in West, Central, and North Africa, but also codeine in cough syrups in Southern Africa. So we do have a big problem, and this is one of the issues that the African Union is working on addressing. We also have a problem with the amphetamine-type stimulants, and the hotspots are Southern Africa, West Africa, and as you can see there, some 13 clandestine laboratories were reported in 2018, and there is increasing use of these substances, which we need to address on the continent. Then we have another issue that we probably share with Brazil and countries in North America, that is cannabis. Cannabis is widely grown and used in all regions of Africa. And the highest levels of cannabis production in the world take place on the African continent. And now we have another problem that is looming with more countries licensing production of cannabis for medical perception. What this medical purposes. What this has done is that it has resulted in low risk perception, and many young people think we can take cannabis, it's okay, the risk is very minimal, and yet it's the opposite. So as you can see there, in that pie chart, Africa, South America, and North America, these are the biggest regions that in terms of production of cannabis. But at this particular time, Africa was the highest. So there is a big problem on our hands. We also do have a problem with new psychoactive substances, a big rise in consumption of and production of new psychoactive substances. And that's another area that we are working on to address through our various policies and capacity building initiatives. Another problem that we have is, which is starting now, is substance use amongst transient populations and those displaced by conflicts, violence, and natural disasters. You can see there those big balloons there. Those are the main problem areas where many of our people have been displaced due to conflicts, due to natural disasters, and so on. And when people are in those situations, we have observed that there is rising use of substances. So that's an area that we need to develop. Despite the problems that we have, we do not have adequate facilities for treatment of drug use and substance use disorders. You can check there only 74 persons per million population access treatment in West Africa in 2019, and that's a huge gap in terms of treatment demand. We also are working on trying to improve quality standards and quality assurance for SUD treatment in many countries. Otherwise, our standards in terms of availability of evidence-based treatment and facilities is still below the world average. We also have low numbers of certified or credentialed professionals for drug dependency prevention, as well as treatment and care. And that's an area that the continent and the African Union is working on addressing, and that's why we are happy to collaborate with ISSUP for capacity development of our professionals in the different African countries. And therefore, we are happy if more of our countries join, establish national chapters and join these initiatives by ISSUP. In terms of treatment demand focusing on gender, I want to speak a little bit about gender, women, and youth based on data that we have been collecting through the Pan-African Epidemiology Network on drug use. We captured some characteristics of people who use drugs, who presented themselves at the various treatment institutions on the continent. And what we observed in terms of treatment demand was shocking to us. In terms of age aggregated data, what we found out, for instance, using data for 2019, is that about 70% of all treatment entrants in West Africa, they were people aged 15 to 34. 15 to 34, if you can see the bar graphs there, okay? And this is one region of the African Union, West Africa. What about other regions? This is for the southern part of Africa. Again, we witnessed the same thing. About 75% of all treatment entrants in Southern African region that accessed treatment in 2019 were people aged 15 to 34. And that's a problem. What about the other regions? If we look at North and East Africa region, it's the same. About 67% of those who sought treatment were aged 15 to 34. So you can see that the pattern is uniform throughout all the regions of Africa, which means we do have a problem with that particular age bracket, 15 to 34 years. Just to combine all of them there, you see West Africa, Southern Africa, North and East Africa. You see that youth bulge that we are talking about, young people seeking treatment, but there are many who are not even seeking treatment, and there are many countries that do not even have those treatment facilities. So it's a big problem for us. So what we discovered in summation is that people aged 15 to 44 years were the majority of those who sought treatment in the treatment facilities that were available in countries that do have treatment facilities. And about 70% of treatment entrants on the continent were aged 15 to 34 years. And 2.3 of the individuals treated for substance use disorders in 2019 were children aged 10 to 14 years, which does imply that there is early initiation of substance use that often occurs in the different settings. What about gender? You see there, 1 in 8 persons that access treatment for cannabis use disorders was a woman. 1 in 8 that accessed treatment for heroin was a woman. 1 in 9 persons that accessed treatment for cocaine was a woman. So you can see 1 in 4 persons that accessed treatment for alcohol use disorders was a woman. So you can see that there are challenges also. We have, on the one hand, challenges with youth, with young people, more young people using drugs, but also there is another problem that we are seeing. The number of women using drugs and those with substance use disorders is also rising on the continent. Women make up approximately 1/6 of entrants for treatment in 2019, and that's what I've been highlighting, which means there is need to do more to address this particular demographic statistic. 1 of 6 persons that access treatment for SUDs in Africa in 2019 is a woman. So there is something that we need to do as a continent, and we are beginning to take measures because of that. Okay, what about a little bit of overview in terms of progress in drug demand reduction? I will not go into detail, but just to mention at a cursory level. In terms of prevention, what we have witnessed is a gradual adoption of evidence-based prevention services, thanks to organizations like ISSUP, thanks to UNODC, and many other organizations. School-based evidence-based programs were piloted in some countries, but there is a lot more to do, a lot more on our hands to do in terms of prevention. In fact, prevention has been lagging behind. In terms of treatments, capacity for treatment, rehabilitation, recovery, and social integration has been rising, but it's below the thresholds that are required to make a significant dent. So more needs to be done. And again, thanks to the collaboration with partners, there is some capacity development that is happening on the continent. As the African Union, I mentioned it in the beginning, our role is to develop policies. And we sure have been giving policy support. Currently, we have what we call the African Union Plan of Action on Drug Control and Crime Prevention, which is the overarching framework that guides drug policy development on the continent. It's balanced in equal measure, emphasizing supply reduction as well as drug demand reduction. And it is anchored on 9 pillars. And one of the objectives, if we look at prevention and treatment, is to prevent drug use amongst all age groups, males and females and youth at risk by applying evidence-based prevention science and enhancing capacity of treatment, capacity for treatment of drug use disorders, rehabilitation, recovery, and social integration. So there is a particular emphasis in the plan of action on females and youth at risk, and also all the age groups. In terms of technical assistance and capacity building, of course, the union has been developing sustainable capacities and expertise at national level, focusing on developing of skills, competencies through our various strategic and multilateral partners, including ISSUP, UNODC, and so on. And every year, and Lívia and Bárbara alluded to it, every year we convene a meeting of drug demand reduction focal persons where they get to share experiences, best practices, and also benchmark. And that has helped countries also in establishing networks amongst themselves. So our last one was at ISSUP, as Lívia mentioned. And one of the issues that we are working on is working with the organ of the African Union on the rights and welfare of the child to amplify one article in the Charter that speaks to issues of drug use amongst children. So we are going to work more with them now that there is amplification of the problem. So, in terms of capacity building as well, this is what we have been doing, also through our regional economic communities. If you look to the left, that's a treatment center in its dilapidated state in one of the African countries. And if you look to the right, that's a rehabilitated drug treatment facility there. In terms of strengthening analysis, research, and evidence, through the help of INL, we have strengthened Continental Drug Surveillance Sentinel, and we call it the Pan-African Epidemiology Network on Drug Use, which then presents consolidated information to our policy makers. And as I mentioned before, those statistics on which show increase in substance use disorders amongst youth, women, we have shared with our ministers, and indeed policy changes are underway. In terms of the recommendations, there is obviously a need to roll out for a continental rollout of schools-based prevention programs on the continent, and also to focus on women. And one of the initiatives that we are working on, we are going to work on starting in the next year, is to involve traditional and religious leaders in prevention of drug use. as part of strengthening protective factors at community level, and also strengthening women's and youth networks as well. And what I can also emphasize here is the strengthening of international collaboration with CICAD, with Colombo Plan, to share experiences and best practices. So, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
So you guys are clear. So we're gonna give all the other panel. Now we're gonna start. Paulo, nós vamos começar outro painel. Paulo vai fazer a apresentação.
We're going to start another panel. Paulo is going to start the presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.
Eu falo muito bem inglês, né? Vocês percebem?
You see that my English is terrible. I'm so sorry. Every time I travel, when I don't have an interpreter with me, they think I'm stupid. I talk to people at the airport. I tell them I don't speak English. But I understand hand signs, gestures. So I speak with my hands. I'm of Italian origin, but still, my English is terrible. I'm aware of that. And now I'm going to do a striptease here. I'm sure you're going to love it. No, I'm kidding. I need some sexy soundtrack for me to take off my clothes. Stop recording now. My wife's going to watch this. No, I'm kidding. Seriously now. Guys, I need your help. I need your help. Let's keep the energy levels high. And actually, we made this T-shirt. It was Samuel's idea. You see, he's looking good today. He has a panel today, so he dressed up, all fancy. But still, we still have 50 T-shirts left, and they help us pay for all this. T-shirts, the sales of the T-shirts help us. So I'd like to encourage you to talk to Gabriela at the front office. 60 reals each T-shirt. It's the prevention team. It's pretty cool. It's a cool souvenir. Make sure you get one. Bring one to your hometowns, and it supports us a lot. It helps us a lot. You expected me to actually do this full striptease, but I won't. And now let's move on to the next panel. I apologize because I changed the schedule because Abel has to fly back home, so his flight changed hours, so we had to change the schedule here. Thank you for bearing with us. The next panel is going to be super cool. I'm sure you're going to love it. I think it's the third edition